Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's strawberry season, so what I figured I'd do is give y'all a video on how to dry strawberries and make some strawberry jelly. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so the first thing that you have to do when making dried strawberries is you have to use a grapefruit spoon to go ahead and get in here and cut out everything until it gets to the red bit on the strawberry. About like that. Grapefruit spoon works the best. You don't have to use one, but it really does work the best. Go about like that. If you don't have one, you can just take any paring knife and kind of get in here, just do the same thing. But it does work better with this spoon. I'm taking all of my little scraps here and put them into a pot, and that's what I'm going to be using to make my jelly. Some of these strawberries may have a little squishy bit there, and that's fine for your jelly, but you don't want to use that in your dried strawberries. So with those, you just kind of want to get in there and cut that bit out as well when you're getting it out of there. Alright, so after you get some of these cord, you need to take them and cut them at about 1/4 of an inch thick. When you get these little bits here at the end, just throw them in your pot to do jelly with. Alright, now that we've gotten all of our strawberries cored and sliced, it's time to start stacking them in our dehydrator tray. Alright, so we have our strawberries in the dehydrator. It's set to 135. We'll need to let that dehydrate for about 8 to 12 hours. If you don't have a dehydrator, you can always still do it in the oven. Again, you want to do it at about 135. Most ovens don't quite go that low, so just as low as you can get your oven for, again, 8 to 12 hours. Alright, since I already have the dehydrator going, I figured I would dehydrate some apples and some bananas because apple chips and banana chips are both pretty good. Alright, so for the apples, first thing that you need to do is go ahead and peel them. I do that just with the paring knife. You can use a carrot peeler or whatever else, just whatever you're comfortable with. Alright, so after you've peeled the apple, go ahead and just cut it off the core. Like I said, just right about a 1/4 of an inch. After you've cut these, you want to put them in some lemon water or some acidic water so they won't brown. So I'm taking my apple peels and I'm putting them in with my strawberry cores and all that. It adds some extra sweetness in there, and the apple peels have pectin in it, which will help thicken the whole thing up. All right, then we're doing some dried bananas. And again, with the bananas, about a 1/4 of an inch thick. All right, so yeah, with the bananas, we have them about a 1/4 of an inch thick and putting them into the lemon water as well. All right, and we're gonna do a couple more bananas. And again, I have all my bananas and apples in here with the lemon water, just toss them around so everything gets a nice just coating of that lemon water so it won't brown. Alright, so I felt like making this a little pretty since I had some extra strawberries and stuff. So here is my last tray of fruit. Alright, so we have our lemon water here that we had used to store our bananas and apples in. Need to go ahead and add that to our pot of scraps. And then after that, we need to go ahead and cover that with water just until it covers the entire thing. Alright, so I have this covered with water, and you just need to take like a potato masher and just kind of squish all this stuff up so it kind of breaks down in the water. Alright, so here is my strawberry apple mash. Need to let that sit overnight and we'll come back to this tomorrow. Alright, so it's the next day and my dried strawberry and fruit is done. One way that you can test to make sure that it's actually dry is to take the strawberry and squeeze it together. If it sticks, then it's still not ready. But as long as it just peels right apart, then you're fine. Alright, so what we have to do now for the jelly is take some cheesecloth, put it in a colander, and then slowly and carefully pour all this. Well, let me try to do it where you can see it. Pour all that in there. It may have been a little much for this, but it'll work. So you take that and just put it on a rack or something so it's not sitting in the juice and kind of being all counterproductive. And you need to just let that sit for a couple hours to actually drain out. Alright, so it's been a couple hours. I have my juice here that's been draining. Kind of balled up the cheesecloth. You don't want to squeeze it or else it'll make your jelly cloudy. So I have over here on the oven, I have my jar sterilizing. Have them boiling for 15 minutes. Then I have 4.5 cups of sugar, a heaping or a rounded third of a cup of Dutch gel, which is an all-natural pectin from Pennsylvania. If you don't have Dutch gel or access to it, then you can use just, that's the equivalent of 1 box of pectin. Alright, so what we need is exactly 3 3/4 cups of our juice. And then we can use the rest for another recipe. Alright, so now it's time to switch over to our stovetop. So now we are adding our juice. And our pectin. And we need to bring that up to a full boil. And kind of stir it all in here to dissolve the pectin in, and you need to stir this fairly often. Alright, it is just starting to boil. We want to bring this up to a boil that, the instructions say you want to bring this up to a boil that you can't stir down. So you want to bring this up to a really, really heavy boil. We're getting close. And you need a very tall pot because once we start adding everything in, it'll really start foaming up. Alright, so now we need to go ahead and add our sugar in. As kind of slowly pour it in while stirring. Alright, get that stirred in. Then we put in about a half a teaspoon of butter. And that'll help to keep it from foaming up as much. And from here on out, we need to stir this constantly. Alright, so now it is starting to come up to a boil. We need to let this boil for 1 minute. You can always, if you really just don't like using pectin, you can make jelly without using pectin, but it takes a lot more sugar and it's kind of just a lot more difficult to judge when it's ready and all that. You're much more likely to come up with syrup than jelly. Alright, so it's been a minute, so we need to go ahead and take it off the heat immediately. Now we just need to start filling up our jars. Alright, so we need a right at about 1/4 inch headspace before you get to the top of the rim. Then you take a damp rag and just kind of clean the top up so that it'll get a good seal. Alright, then you take a cap and a ring, tighten that up. You'll want to grab the jar with your rag so you can actually grab it, because it's hot. So you take that, and we'll be putting that back in our water as soon as we get the rest of these jarred up. Alright, so our last one that isn't all the way full is gonna just go straight into the fridge. It won't like seal up or anything and be safe and preserved. So just gonna take whatever lid fits on here. And yeah, that's going straight into the fridge. So now that our water is back up to a boil, we're going to add in our closed jelly jars. We need to let that go for about 5 minutes. During our last minute of boiling, I'll go ahead and show you some of the important stuff that you kind of need. One of these jar funnels works great. It kind of makes it so you don't just pour juice and jelly or jam or preserves everywhere. The other thing is a jar picker upper or jar tongs. This makes life so much easier so you don't just burn yourself or break all your jars from trying to use normal tongs. Something else that I used to have that isn't necessary but it is handy is a little magnet on a stick to get the lids out of there. Sometimes when you're trying to get them with the tongs, they just don't want to cooperate with you. That being said, our time is up. It's been 5 minutes. So you take our jars out. And let them cool. Alright, so now that we have our jars out, there's some give here, and once they are ready to go, those will pop. You'll actually hear them pop, and they actually kind of suck down, and it's that's when you know that everything's all nice and preserved and they'll be good for a while. So yeah, that's how we make strawberry jelly.